Hello everyone, today we're going to be bending some white oak, the same dimension as the frames on our boat. So let's go down into the shop and see how that goes. Let's talk about equipment first. We need a way to generate steam, and there's many different options for that. Today we're going to be using a steam generator, but you can use a kettle on a hot plate with some radiator hose if that's what you have. But this is what we're going to use today. Next, you'll need a vessel or a steam box. You can use plastic pipe. These are really convenient because it doesn't take long to assemble. It comes in long lengths. The only downside to these is that once you get them hot, they tend to soften up and they may sag. They won't be as rigid as they once were, so you want to have it well supported. This is ABS. I think PVC softens a little bit more than ABS or black plastic pipe. But we're going to be steaming in this steam box that I made last night. It's pretty simple. It's just the material I had laying around. It's probably a little bit thin for the plywood thickness. I reinforced the corners with some black locust solid wood strips, and then just screwed it all together. So we may lose a little bit of heat. I already did a test heat in this, and it gets hot enough. But thicker plywood may get hotter quicker, maintain heat better. One end is capped off, and the other end I have a little door that'll cap off this end. And along the length, we have these dowels. And if you can see inside, there's a box of screws, it looks. I don't know if you can see inside, but those dowels run all the way through, and our material will be supported by them, so that once we fill this box up with steam, the steam can get underneath the material and warm our strips, our framing stock from all sides. So that's really important. Also, you want to have drain holes. You don't want a perfectly sealed box. So I have a couple holes on the bottom of this, and then one hole up here for, this is a meat thermometer, for a thermometer so that I can monitor my temperature inside. Okay. On the back side of this, we have capped off and sealed with some rubber gasket material. And then this is the connection. It's a little brass fitting that connects to our steam generator. You want to be careful when working with steam. It can burn you easily. Another option for steaming is this polyethylene bagging material. I think it's made for vacuum bagging food, like food preservation or something. But you can plumb your steam into this bag after you slid your material in there, and you can steam it anywhere. It's super simple, super easy. That was shown to us by Lou from Tips from a Shipwreck, who's got an amazing YouTube channel. I recommend you check that out. So why do we want to steam bend things? We have this rigid material, and we want to create a very curvy shape. So looking at our little half model again, which may be hard to see, but that's quite a tight bend to bend that piece of oak around. It'd be impossible without some sort of steam. So we're trying to create shapes like this, and it's just not possible without steaming to get it out of a solid piece of wood with the grain running the length of the frame. There are other options for getting a curved frame. You could saw the shape out, have a solid piece of wood that you then cut that curved shape out of. The drawback to that is that the grain will be running out of the edges, so a little less strength for the frame size. If you were to cut a curve out of this, the grain would be running out of the edge of that curve, if that makes sense. With steam bending, you can get the grain of the wood to follow perfectly the shape that you want to take. It's a crazy shape. That grain is going to be following the entire way. Okay, you can hear the steam generating. It's bubbling and making some noise. So we know something's happening. Our temperature is rising. We're about 120 degrees right now. We want it to be over 200. So that's our goal. 200 degrees. Ideally, it would be 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So we still got a few more minutes. We'll let that continue to warm up. So while this is heating up, let's talk about some safety. This will be boiling hot when it comes out of the steam box, and you're going to have to handle it. So wearing gloves is mandatory. There's no way around it. So gloves, of course, eye protection is always a good idea when you're in the shop. And when this comes out, you're not going to have a lot of time. So you're going to have to just grab it, put it on the form, or make your bend, and before it cools down. Another thing, anytime you open up the door on your steam box or fiddle with anything, you want to protect your hands. This is just going to be a test. So all the framing's already on the boat, so it's just a demonstration. I'm going to open it up and set our material in there on top of the dowels. Always gloves. Close that up. And we wait. The rule of thumb is an hour per inch of thickness. There are other rules of thumb out there, but that seems to work for me. So this is a 1/2 inch by 7/8 frame stock, and so 1/2 inch of thickness, 1/2 of an hour. So that's how long we'll let it sit in here, and we'll check back on it in a little bit. Okay, things are looking pretty good. We're hovering right around 210 degrees. We've got a few more minutes left before we pull it out, but so far everything's working great. Okay, here's an identical piece of our frame stock, and pretty rigid. Let's open up the box, pull out the steamed piece, and we'll see what it can do. Keep your face away from the opening when you open it. You don't want to get burned, obviously, but you know, at the very least, it'll steam up your glasses. You won't be able to see what's going on. So let's open this up. We got gloves on. See what this will do. Oh man, like a noodle. All right. So steaming, very effective. Typically, you would be bending this around a form or around the ribbands on your mold for your boat. So then you would clamp them in place and let it cool, cool and dry out. Don't unclamp it for a day or so. And that's the gist of it, kind of an introduction. It may take some playing around to get the right setup, the right heat source, the right setup, material selection. One thing you want to be careful with material selection is you want the grain to be running straight. You don't want it to be running out of the edges of your piece. So that anytime the grain's running out of the edge, it's running this way or this way, that will create a weak point. And when you go to bend it, it will snap. And always have more material than you think you'll need because you may end up breaking some in the process. Let's see, what else? That's it. That's basically that's our simple introduction to steam bending. Okay, it's been a few hours. This is the piece that we bent, and after it's cooled off and it's dried, it stays pretty rigid. So I'd say that was a success, and that's basically how all those frames went onto the boat. Hopefully you guys find some interest in this, and keep your eyes peeled for things around you that may have been made with this process. All right, hope you all have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.